if you can't sustain the 75 hard, I don't think it's a discipline failure. It's one of those other things. Either your identity, your meaning, your direction, or your system don't work well enough for it.
Welcome back to another episode of Past Your Prime. I'm Alex, Spiker Kiker on Instagram. This is Craig Smith, PT on IG. I just like the way that rolls off the tongue, so I'm going to keep saying it.
It does sound good.
Yeah.
Craig Smith, PT on IG. I'm Craig Smith. This is Alex.
All right. Intros are done.
Yes.
Episode 23 today. Before we jump into the episode, we'll do a very quick Alex's injury updates.
Cue the music.
Not much new to report. My knees are sore. I had a fun little 30-minute dunking session yesterday. We were talking about progress before the podcast today, and I've been lifting consistently for about a year now with very dedicated, at least 3 lifts a week, etc. We're going to talk about dedication in today's podcast, which will be fun. But I went from essentially barely being able to dunk to being able to dunk pretty easily yesterday. Hit a 360.
Whoa.
Yeah, 360 one-hander.
With a tennis ball?
With a basketball.
Wow.
Yeah. I did. So last year for Father's Day, Audrey bought me a brand new, really nice basketball. I chose one that's a little bit thicker. It's like the NCAA basketball, just so I could grip it with one hand. And yeah, I was able to throw down a 360 yesterday.
Whoa, I'm actually impressed. That is more impressive than I honestly didn't think that you were going to say you did a 360.
No.
Wow.
I was dunking with my friend who is a AVP beach volleyball player. He is a professional, was really big on the circuit last year, and he was throwing down windmills. I didn't realize how athletic this kid was. But yeah, he was definitely showing me up quite a bit.
Wow.
He did a windmill off the backboard, as a matter of fact. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
All righty. Anyway.
I 100% hate people that do stuff like that. When you watch them and it's impressive, but at the same time, you have a little bit of hate in your heart for them.
Yeah.
You're proud of what they just did, but you also hate them
It's a good driving factor for me. It's oh man, I know I'm super old and shouldn't even be dunking at all, but I kind of want to try and get to that stage again. But aside from that, knees are a little bit sore. My wrist is a little bit sore, but it seems like everything is kind of easing up. My back was a little bit sore yesterday still. I'm trying to manage that because I feel like once I get my back into a good place, the rest of my injuries will go away.
I do think with soreness, that can be different than an injury.
Yeah.
Do you think it's soreness from you worked hard? It sounded that you did a dunk session that was quite a bit outside the norm.
Right.
Is it actual soreness, like muscle soreness, or is it
so my right knee, I think, still has a little bit of that swelling going on. My left knee is sore. So I think there's a little bit of a difference between the two knees.
Okay.
And then my back, I just have a area in my back that's hurting, and I just need to keep up with my home plan to get that feeling better.
Great job. Why have you not had a new injury? What do you think you're doing differently?
I took it easier in the gym this week. I didn't want to, but because everything was hurting, I not only self-limited, but my body limited me a little bit.
That does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen. You are spectacularly good at hurting yourself.
I am.
When you come in and there's not a new injury, my brain immediately goes, were you sick? Did you get sick?
I'm currently dealing with some sort of weird voice loss, so maybe I'm sick. I don't know. That won't stop me this week, though, either. So.
Well, 4 weeks ago, you had a randomly swollen eye.
Yeah. I think that's allergies, though. I've been people at work would be like, are you okay? I'm like, it's windy outside. I swear it's allergies. So
I didn't hurt my eye. I promise. Okay, cool. Great job.
Anyway, so today for episode 23, we're going to kind of change directions a little bit. Craig has been super into 75 hard and why it isn't a discipline problem. It's a system problem. You've heard us over the last couple of episodes talk about systems and whatnot. So for those of you who have not heard about 75 hard, what is 75 hard and why are you so obsessed with it?
Okay, I'm going to read specifically what I've found on 75 hard, and I'll talk about why I think it's just a fascinating challenge, but also hammers what our points of view on how you should take on new challenges and try to change your life. Okay, so 75 hard. It is a 75-day challenge with 6 daily rules. 2 45-minute workouts. One of them has to be outside. Follow a diet. You get to actually pick whatever diet it is, but you can't cheat on the diet
At all.
at all. So no cheat days. I was actually kind of wondering, like, what if you build in cheat days into your diet? But the idea is that you follow the diet 100%, no cheat days.
Tom Brady cheated to win. Why can't the rest of us?
Whoa. Through a Tom Brady cheating reference. Yeah. Well, I mean, didn't the guy who helped co-write his book, I think, lied about helping treat cancer?
Yeah.
Just pretty horrible.
All right, little side quest.
Side quest. No alcohol.
Whew.
Drink a gallon of water, which is, wow, is that way more difficult?
We both tried that this week, and we'll dive into that a little bit more.
Read 10 pages of nonfiction. That's not a big deal.
I'm an idiot, so not going to happen.
Yep. And take a daily progress photo of your body. And then the kicker on this is if you miss any one of those 6 daily rituals, you actually repeat and go back to day 1. It basically negates any, I mean, if you're on day 74 and you make a mistake, you don't go to 75, you go back to day 1.
So let's kind of talk about the challenges. I know that we've got a little, guide here on how we wanted to talk about this today.
Yeah,
but I'm just thinking about the challenges with kind of each one of these specifically. So at least the ones that I would struggle with. So 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes.
Hour and a half.
That's a lot of time. Like I do usually spend about an hour to an hour and a half in the gym 3 times a week. Trying to do that 7 times a week would be difficult. Also, one of them being outside. It's about to be the Arizona summer, and like you'd have to do one of those at 5 a.m. in the morning or late at night to even potentially be able to do it, because overnight summers in Arizona, it can still be upper 90 degrees for some of the lows.
Yep.
So
I won't lie. There are certain times in the summer where I really like to go on a super long run, middle of the day, as hot as it can be. It's like a vision quest. You see visions, like, because it's so hot out, you're clearly dehydrating. It is like an unreal experience. But anyway, you don't want to do that on a daily basis.
Yeah. I just imagine like trying to do a workout. I go into the steam room and it's like 160 degrees in there. Like, 5 minutes in, I'm on a vision quest myself. So, the diet without cheating, I actually think I could probably do that for 2.5 months. It'd be difficult, including the no alcohol thing, but I've had times in my life where I just decided I'm not going to drink for a while, and I've gone like over a year without having alcohol. I think I could probably do that one. A gallon of water is so hard to consume in a day.
And it makes it sound so simple. It is now becoming my favorite way to stress test somebody's system, but it's so much more difficult than you expect. And that one you would think is everyone has to drink water or you literally die. You would think it's simple, but it's 100% not simple. And it's like a perfect example of how difficult it is to make something work and how much of it's a skill. Just the fact that you have to pee so much throughout the day.
That's one of the biggest barriers, is like trying to time out to where, I work in an office setting. Like, are people looking at me weird because I'm having to go to the restroom so many times? But
yeah, they think you have a dysfunctional bladder. Everybody's just like, what is happening to Alex's body?
Well, I'm force feeding myself water is what's happening. I'm waterboarding myself consistently.
Yeah.
10 pages of nonfiction. I've gone through different phases in my life where I've done reading, and I don't know. I'm just not a big reader. I know for this, that's an easy one for you. You're always researching and going through it.
I find interesting on that though is it's all of these are heavy time commitments though.
Right.
I mean, 10 pages depends on the book.
Reading some Verkhoshansky.
Yeah, you're not going
you could
through
be there for 20 minutes.
Those pages are huge. Yeah.
And then a daily progress photo. Yeah, you just tick that one off. You just got to do it. That one's not going to take much time. So
But even there, it's like, how are you gonna position it? How do you do it? Are you doing it by yourself? Are you body conscious, self
yeah,
conscious? Like there's a
I certainly am.
yeah.
Are you going to flex? Are you not going to
Am I
flex?
yeah? Am I gonna make sure that there's enough shade so it looks like my muscles are more
Yeah.
pronounced
What's
than
the
what they are?
lighting setup?
Yeah, that's always my favorite thing is when people do a before and after, and in one of them they're completely, they have no tan, no coloration whatsoever, and then the light is on them so that it takes away any level of muscularity, and then they do an after photo, they're tanned up, and they have like the
They haven't
lighting set
eaten
up.
for 2 days.
Yeah, yeah,
They're all
it's
cut
so
off.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So sounds intense, not necessarily impossible. Like, where's the challenge in all of this?
The idea, I think, from the creators, and you guys can go and look at what you guys read on it. The idea is that it's a discipline test. It's supposed to be a really intense challenge that forces you to commit and be disciplined and stick to this this really honestly, like, it's like a hard routine, but it's deceptively hard because each of those pieces by themselves you think that you'd be able to do.
It's
Okay,
not called 75 easy.
it's definitely not. Yeah, it's not 75 easy, but it's not discipline. What it shows is where you have friction inside the system that you're currently operating in. One of my favorite statements I was talking to Alex about, your current system is perfect for whatever current results you're getting. Alex's system is really good at producing recurrent, irritating injuries over and over again. It's perfect for that. And that's one of the things that we're having to break the cycle on. But he has built a perfect system for injuring himself. This stuff with what they're talking about, it is in almost every aspect of it, you're going to find friction where you're going to not be able to do the actual 75 hard challenge.
I don't think I could do it right now. Maybe there's like a certain period in the time of year that would work for me, but going into summer, not happening.
Uber hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of clients bring this up to you. That's why you wanted to do a pod about it today. So,
Multiple clients, and none of them have made it very far. The thing that I find frustrating about it is they view it as a discipline issue, like that they just don't have enough willpower, that there's something flawed in how hard they can push. And you have, I think, well meaning, you have people like Goggins and these other, like, really well, I think they're doing really cool things. So it's not meant as a hardcore criticism, but I don't think it's a willpower issue. And I also don't think it's a discipline issue.
what else are your clients saying about it?
What they're saying is that they want to be able to do it. They want to show that they're somebody who's a disciplined person. So there is like a link to their identity, and they want to show that there's somebody who can commit to a hard challenge. And then they want to do something, show that they're healthy people. And so it's a deeply meaningful activity for them to do it. And then it's a very clear goal. You got 75 days where you're going to go through this. So kind of like align, if we think of how we've been talking about aligning your identity with your meaning, with the direction and goals that you set, and then putting your system behind it so that it feeds all of those. It's like a really cool challenge that I think could do it. But what I think is being missed is that your system is absolutely not developed to take on all of these at once if you have not mastered certain aspects of it. And the one that I wanted to talk about was drinking water. Sounds so simple, but for me, I have almost every aspect of my day. I have it scheduled. Significant portions of it, they're scheduled, typically with another person. It's awkward to drink water with in front of people where it looks like you're drinking way too much water.
There's like a social aspect to it.
It's weird.
I've got some examples from like one of my volleyball teammates where, we're all hanging out having a beer and he's there just reading a book.
That's weird.
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm committed to it. I'm doing it. I'm like, all right, good on you,
Yeah,
man.
have fun with that.
Do you want a beer? No, I'm doing 75 hard. All right, cool.
Well, and it is kind of one of those things where you commit to doing something that is clearly hard, but if you have no structure and you have no skill around it, or I have a work commitment, I'm going to be seeing patients, or I'm going to be working with clients in some way, whether it's a consulting client or talking to my team, I can't be going to pee 6 times every hour. Learning how, okay, when can I time when I drink? What I have figured out is I have a period of time first thing in the morning, the first 3 hours before I go to work. I can drink more water at that point. I know that if I drink water in the first 30 minutes of a patient session, I will have to go to the bathroom during the session. So I wait till the last 30 minutes. I don't drink other fluids that would actually reduce my ability to drink enough water. Those are all things that I never have thought about. I drank water before, but I had never thought about all of those different things. Those are all skills. Timing when you drink water, making sure that whatever bottle you're going to be drinking out of is there. All of these different things, they allow you to actually do the activity, and none of them are related to discipline.
I'm thinking about my system for drinking water, and it's a little bit different than yours. I wake up, have a pint of water, so a full glass of water right when I wake up every day. I've done that for over a year now. And then I've got like a 25-ounce water bottle, and I drink one of those on the way to work and on the way back home from work. So there's call it 75 ounces of water, give or take.
Did you do that? Can I ask you, did you do that before? Or is that like that's been going on for a
That's been going on for a long period of time. So like I know we were talking about my water intake just before this morning, and now I'm realizing that like maybe I'm actually closer to hitting this goal long term than I thought. Because then during the day, I don't drink as much water as I should. I probably only fill my bottle once during the day. So there's, close to 100 ounces. And then, if I were to throw in one more water bottle, I'd be pretty darn close to hitting the gallon in like an average normal day for me. So I think I would just need to like make sure that I drink 2 bottles during my work
that's
day
awesome
to get there.
My other big issue was I hated refilling it. So I have a ridiculous looking half-gallon bottle. It's huge and it looks silly. But it makes it so I only have to refill one time. It's filled in the morning when I wake up, and then I finish that one, and then I know that I have the second one. So it's like, okay, I got to get this done. But the other big piece is I don't want it to go past 6, because if it goes past 6 o'clock in the evening, I know it's going to wake me up.
Oh, all night. Yeah.
All night.
That's terrible. And then, yeah, I mean, I try to drink a full one on my way back from the gym in the evening as well. So, yeah, I'm probably really close to actually hitting a gallon most days.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But the benefits of drinking enough water, I mean, your system works better, energy level is going to be higher. And we can do a deep dive on why you want to be consuming enough water, because it's incredibly healthy. I mean, from the fact that if you're not consuming empty calories. You don't want to drink calories, especially if you're trying to lose weight or maintain weight. But so there's a lot of cool parts, but man, that is a skilled activity.
I've also I did a little bit of research just because we were talking about it last week, and it seems like a gallon is kind of overkill. It's like a discipline thing to get through that because it's not easy.
Yes, it's not easy. I also, I'm always interested in when you pick a number and you say it for everybody. I mean, if you're a smaller woman, for example, I can't even imagine what it's like to try to drink a gallon of water. But if you're a larger man, you may actually even may need to consume more.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the other just kind of potential struggles are I've got a vacation coming up in end of June, beginning of July. It would be difficult to go on vacation and try and, commit to all of these different facets. I'm surely not going to stick to my diet that week.
Well, what can I ask? What's the purpose of your vacation?
Stress management. Let's put it as that.
The purpose of me going on a vacation is to basically relax. No way. There's just no way that would be something I would even be somewhat interested in doing.
Yeah. And several mimosas will be consumed on this.
They have to happen.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that also kind of gets to the alcohol part, right?
Yeah.
The purpose of alcohol in my life, I love it in social situations where there's absolutely it's like a social ritual where you 100% interact with people who are also consuming it. And I think, I'm not saying like people can't drink, but I think just being realistic, there is like a social ritual around drinking with other people.
Yeah. I mean, I had a year where I was like the DD. I just chose not to drink for like a year. And so I'd be at the bar just I'm here. I'll have some peanuts.
How did you manage the social interaction?
No, I just kind of told people like, I'm not drinking right now. And I mean, it was awkward, but at the same time, like, I don't really care what other people think of me. So
Do you feel like it diminished from the social interaction at all?
probably, I probably wasn't as fun as I can be in those type of situations,
Did you
but
do the booyahs still?
no booyahs. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, without booyahs, why is it even worth having me around?
I only drink wine, and I really enjoy it because I do feel like there's a experiential part with like food and pairing. I really enjoy that aspect of it, and I would have to replace that with something else. Otherwise, I'd feel like there'd be like a void while I was trying not to drink alcohol. And I'm not saying like I'm not drinking to excess, but I like it in a few situations. I like it with good food, and then it's like an end of the day ritual that I've developed. I have a hard time creating work edges, and one of the ways I create a work edge, meaning I'm not going to do work anymore, was through a glass of wine.
Yeah. And
It's
the non-alcoholic stuff sucks. So
just not the same. I've tried athletic, which is actually pretty good.
we've tried athletic. Audrey tried some non-alcoholic wine. Meh.
Yeah, not that great.
Right.
But even there again, though, so to me, if I am 100% going to do this challenge, I have to create a different type of work edge. I need to have skills to be able to interact socially because that's not going to stop happening. And to be able to diffuse situations where you have the insistent person that you drink. And I have to find a different way, to give up, which is something that I long term, there's no way I want to, like an experiential piece that I really enjoy.
Except for 75 days.
Except for 75 days.
I need to do like 75 medium or 75 moderate.
I love it. Well, but
Did
it
I
is
just
kind
pick
of
a couple of these to not do?
Well, you want to have the skills though,
Yeah.
right? And I really like the idea. I'm testing each one of them to see where my system breaks down, and I'm correcting my system error, like the system issue, and then putting it back in place, and then I'm going to add the next one.
I'll test him. Like one of these mornings, I'll just bring a bottle of champagne and just sit here and drink it
in front of me. I'm going to have to, I'll develop some social ways to say no.
Slap it out of
I know. When we had gone into thinking of exercise relapse, where people who want to stay physically active go through periods of time where they don't exercise, the literature on that is all around alcoholism and relapse due to alcoholism. And what one of the big pieces is taking yourself out of environments where you're going to be exposed to whatever's going to cause you to relapse. And those are I think really clear ones. And then in places where you can't avoid those things that trigger your impulse to want to consume again, you have to have skills. You absolutely have to have ways. So I would obviously be figuring out a way to handle Alex's temptations.
I liked testing myself. Like I'd be in the bar, the music's playing, everybody's, shots and all these other things, and I'd just be like hanging out, in the corner by myself.
Well, I am interested in the mindset. Do you think you could have done it in a different way? Like, why were you successful if you did it for a year?
I think whenever I choose to do something, we've alluded to it before, like I just go 150%.
Your identity.
Yeah.
So his identity, I think your identity matched. You're somebody who will take on something, and when you've committed to it, that in itself, that challenge gives you.
Yeah, I'm just uber competitive, even with myself. Like if I choose to do something, I just do it. And then I think the last part of this whole thing is the 2 workouts a day, the physical recovery from that. I mean, I'm sure you can moderate your intensity and, sets and reps and et cetera. But, it seems like with this, they want you to kind of go hard, even in your workouts. So, I mean,
yeah, I've read a little bit, and they walking counts, like walking outside. So yeah, I know. They did put that on there, but in my brain, the issue is that once again, I like to have like an idea of what I'm working on. And even right now, we've shared before from our own data, if somebody measures high on accountability, they're 33 times more likely to quit. And I personally, right now, I'm like in a heavy work zone. And so I'm actually doing personal training myself. Where I have one boxing session with a trainer and then one coach session every week, because it forces me to have it booked, and that having that other person that I'm committed to show up has been very, very helpful. With these ones, man,
that's 2. That is 2. That is
That's
not
two.
14.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's like and the hard part would be when you feel a responsibility to get things done for other people and all of these other work duties, that hour and a half is so much more than an hour and a half. It's getting prepped to exercise. It's knowing what exercise routine you're going to do. It's going to be showering afterwards. I stink after I do exercise, and especially if it's going to be outside, it's going to be even worse. So it's not just 45 minutes.
Where else do you think it would be like a breakdown?
Okay, so the only other one that I was really looking at besides that, so we have alcohol, we have exercise, and then we have the gallon of water. The diet one is also incredibly hard. I mean, if you look at the literature around people following diets, it is horrible for people to actually stick with whatever diet they say they're going to do. They say it just diet. It's like one of those things where the words are easy, so it sounds simple, but it's not simple at all.
Well, and the no cheating, like I basically build in so that I can kind of eat whatever I want on the weekends. I try to be like somewhat mindful about it, but I eat extremely healthy Monday through Thursday, fast on Friday to save my calories for the weekend, and then be able to, be very organic in what I eat, not organic food, but like
Why?
I went and had a Zen burger chicken sandwich last night and it was fantastic.
They are actually delicious.
Yeah.
But why? Why do you save that for the weekend? Is it because like that's gonna be more social engagements?
Just to be able to let loose, I think our family really enjoys going out to dinner and being able to, have a beer or, go out. Yeah, like we're doing a social engagement today that I don't necessarily will change the food. I don't. It's not somewhere we're going to eat, but nonetheless, like if we go and have a beer afterwards or something like that. Yeah, and I don't even know why I started this system. I just am trying to maybe have a little bit more of a summer body this year and work on my physique. So I've just built this system that works for me, and like you said, it's getting the results that the system builds.
There's a really interesting book called Metabolical that talks about processed food and how processed food drives a lot of the health issues that we're seeing. And so I'm thinking about doing one where there's no processed food, which would be brutal.
And I'd say like on my good diet days, I'm pretty close to that. I mean, we've gone through kind of what I eat in a normal day, and probably like aside from the dressing and like the yogurt that comes in a container, everything is generally a single ingredient food.
I'm not willing to be tired during a work day. And I've had periods of time where I've tried to get really lean, especially when I was doing a lot of personal training, like first business. And that that was so unpleasant. I want to make sure that at the end of the day, I can't feel horrible.
I generally feel pretty horrible on Friday afternoons after I fast for the whole day, so I can't disagree with that one there.
I like it.
Okay, so we've kind of already talked about the friction that some of these things can cause in your life. So if it's not necessarily just a discipline test, what would you say it is?
I think it's an audit. I think truthfully, I think it's an audit of what your current system or life is, and it's also an audit of what you prioritize. So if you're somebody whose identity is really linked to what this challenge does, I think you'll do it very well. I don't think it'll be nearly as difficult, especially if it shows some level of meaning. There's another good book. I feel like I'm dropping books today, but Drive by Daniel Pink, and it talks about your drive is going to be higher if whatever activity you do gives you autonomy, matches your sense of purpose, and allows you to develop mastery. So if you hit those three things, you're going to be more driven to do it. And I also agree, but I think it also has to match your identity, which then helps to provide the meaning, which then gives you really clear ideas around goals, which then allow you to build a system that gives you skills and deep mastery over it. Obviously, the more skilled, the deeper the meaning, you're going to get more autonomy because you're going to control your day to day and your life in a really cool way. I think that challenges like this basically show what you actually value, who you actually think you are, and what your system currently allows you to do. And yeah, if you can't sustain the 75 hard, I don't think it's a discipline failure. It's one of those other things. either your identity, your meaning, your direction, or your system don't work well enough for it. And you've got to either develop skills, you got to be really clear that like this is actually what you want to do.
I think that's probably a huge part of this is like just choosing to do it. And then, like Nike says, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm excited to see your progress, and
I'll give you guys updates.
I'll be interested to see how many times you fail.
Once I start, I promise I won't fail.
Oh,
Yes.
pinky promise.
Pinky promise. Pinky promise. I'll tell you guys when I start, and we will track it.
Alrighty. How do you plan to prepare for this?
After I get done with this one, the next one, I think the next big hurdle is going to be the alcohol one. So,
Are you like phasing these things in?
yeah, and I'm not dropping them. So
Okay.
basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to phase each one of these in. And then when I get to where I feel like I have each of them built around how my day to day is going to operate, then I'll just start the clock.
Like what? So what's next? You're working on the water now.
And the next one's going to be alcohol. So then it's basically building I'm really concerned about my work edge routine. When you find that you are checking your email when you go home or all these other things, because work no longer stays at work, work can travel anywhere you go. I find that I have to have an edge. I have to have something that cuts off my work brain from my home. Otherwise, I'm just not present with Sarah, my wife. And it's hard. It's actually one of the reasons like I'm terrible at text messaging. I'm terrible at phone calls. Partially that's on purpose. The phone allows me to go back into a work mode that's really, really unhealthy. And so I've created ways to not engage with my phone. And the alcohol, like the right when I get home on hard days, it is such a useful ritual for me. That's going to be a hard one. But I think I'm already like, I've already kind of tested a couple of them using like Headspace for meditation. I've also timed some of my exercise routines to be right when I get done with work and using those instead. But this next week, I've got the water one down. I've been pretty consistent now on it. Now it's the new work ending ritual.
You had mentioned that you've had a lot of clients kind of fail 75 hard. What have you talked with those folks about?
That's actually probably the reason I wanted to bring it up because it really irritated me to hear their takeaway was so negative self-talk. And whereas to me, it was just, okay, you pressure tested your system and there were some holes. That's the opportunity. Whereas listening to people talk about the 75 hard and encouraging other people to do it, uh, a lot of it to me could be taken in a way that's not actually helpful. It's more of the people were just kind of jerks, to be honest.
I've done like 365 consistent.
365 consistent. Oh,
like
yeah.
a year of
The
consistency.
same thing. Yeah.
I think it's like, I don't know. We've talked about it, I think in episode 15, like I've built a system that really works for me.
Yep.
It allows me some flexibility, but I'm still reaching my goals. I'm not killing myself with a system like 75 hard. But once again, I am continuing to progress athletically, physically, mentally, emotionally, like in all these other ways. So, once again, I'm curious to see kind of how you do with this one.
I like it. And what, if you guys remember on that episode, one of the things that I had recommended is making the skills that you're developing and the barriers you're coming again, make them explicit, like be very clear on what they are, because then you can actually develop a plan around them. It's the same thing that he's done. Like he's developed this consistency because he's developed very clear skills to support the system and they're getting the outcome that he wants. The places that we've all talked about repeatedly with him to improve would be actually not overdoing some of it, but those are all skills. And if you come up to a point where you're not getting the result that you want, and you're trying something like this to help jumpstart either your motivation or your idea that you're trying to link your identity to a challenge, just make sure that you understand that these things aren't simple and they're not just a willpower issue at all. Like willpower in these types of situations, you'll 100% fail.
Are there people that challenge is not right for? I partially think of myself because 2 workouts a day, I would end up going way too hard in those 2
100%.
workouts. It would limit me from being able to play sports. I would continue to get injured probably at a much higher rate.
If you're getting hurt all the time, this thing will blow you up. And if you're somebody where you can't control your day to day, I think this will be a frustrating experience because there's certain things that you can't have setbacks throughout the day. Like if you get behind on water consumption, you're screwed.
Yeah, trying to jug a half gallon at 6 p.m.
I
Not
did,
going to be good for your sleep.
and if you're somebody who thrives on challenges or likes to me, it's almost like a game, like almost like gamify being healthy. It's really fun.
Alrighty. Well, if you have tried 75 hard or a similar challenge and it failed, let us know. Maybe we can help you build a system around beating the challenge one time. I myself will probably not be jumping into this challenge anytime soon, but I'm interested. So maybe after I see Craig's results and he comes back super swole,
Uh,
waterlogged Craig.
yeah, it's kind of the daily progress photo is kind of weird, but whatever.
That's all right. We
Yeah,
can make a little montage.
and we'll do a montage of my progress photos.
Check back in 2.5 months. All right. Thank you guys. If you wouldn't mind, drop a subscription, share it with one friend. It means a lot to us and it helps us grow our audience, which we love providing this content to you guys. Aside from that, like, comment, subscribe, share. Find us at pastureprime.com. We're building it out even more tools and resources for you guys. PYP.
PYP, baby.
Peace.